Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. This is a video I've been meaning to make for a long time because it's very important. And it's about polling, as you can tell by the title. Not like poll closings, but like polling, where you ask people who likely voters who they're going to vote for, and they respond. And it's very important to elections in general because it can depend where candidates are going to campaign, if people are going to vote or not. Kind of shows what the country is thinking, what issues are most important, and I think it's just really important that we get this right. And it's kind of like been a thing we've been doing for a long time, and across the world for elections. And unfortunately, polling has kind of been taken over by it's become very biased and very partisan. And some of you might be saying, well, yeah, we know this. And some of you might be saying, that's no proof. That's just what Trump says. That's a lie. And I have proof right here on Jackson Jude. Not proof, but just I want you to make your own opinion. But here is what I have to say about the polling. So I'm gonna do the 2020 election, and the 538. It's a polling site. All the polls they did a week before the election compiled into an average for every single state. So this is, I think, really gonna show people. I mean, look at this. Actually, this is the day of the election. Let's go back about a week, I'd say. Say a week would be good. Yeah, this is a week before the election. I think this is a pretty good spot to be at, honestly, because I think a little further back is too far away. A little closer is too close. But I mean, look at all this red. This red is according to the polls where Trump outperformed. So let's take a look at my home state of Ohio. 6.9, nice. Trump did 6.9 points better. He won Ohio by about 8.1, by 8 points. So they had him winning Ohio, but only by a point. So, alright, you think that's just, they had him winning. It was correct there, technically. Let's look at Iowa. They had Trump winning by 8.2. He won it by 8.1. They had Iowa as a pure toss-up. Again, you might be thinking, alright, pretty close. I mean, sure, they had him winning it, but it was really close. Ohio swung heavily. I mean, to the right, it voted much more for Trump than I think the polls had it, but still he won it. Iowa was pretty much on point. I'm gonna give them credit where credit is due. But now let's look at Wisconsin. 6 points Trump outperformed. Biden won the state by about 0.6. That means that the polls had Biden winning Wisconsin by nearly 7 points. Yeah, that's right. Wisconsin, 7 points for Biden. I mean, and especially because it was so close. I mean, that was completely wrong. I mean, Ohio and Iowa. I mean, Iowa was pretty much on point. Ohio was a little bit favored the Democrats, but it wasn't that much. Wisconsin, I mean, that's a 7 point swing. That's not even close to being right. Michigan, Trump did 5 points better. Biden won the state by 2 points. So they had Biden winning Michigan by nearly 7.5 to 8 points. That's pretty wrong. I think if I did that at work or school, margins like that with my math, I think I would fail. And I mean, that's what they did in Michigan. That's 5 point swing for Trump. I mean, where'd that come from? Pennsylvania, Biden's home state. Trump did 4 points better. Biden won the state by a point. So they had Biden winning Pennsylvania by 5 points. These are states that Trump won in 2016, and they had Biden doing 7 points better. I mean, I don't see that happening at all. I couldn't see it. I'm not really sure what to say because that's completely wrong in all those states. Not even close. I mean, 7 points. That's a likely margin that separates them. And then let's go to North Carolina, another swing state. North Carolina. Trump won North Carolina by 1.3, and they had Biden winning North Carolina by 2 points. So according to the polls, Biden should have was leading North Carolina by 2 points. Trump won it by 3, or he'd outperformed by 3, won it by 1. So obviously North Carolina, that pretty much favored the Democrats. I mean, that's pretty obvious. The polls are a little off. Georgia, another swing state. Georgia is the one swing state that Biden actually outperformed. I think they actually had Trump winning. Or no, they had Biden winning, just pretty much by the margin to it. So it was very close. So, give credit where credit is due again. Georgia and Iowa were pretty accurate. Florida, 5 points. They had Biden winning Florida by 3 points. I'm not sure what else to say other than that. That was completely wrong. They completely didn't get the Hispanic trends in Miami. I think there were some more conservative people that ran the Trump campaign that were saying, yeah, that's going to happen. The polls didn't get that at all. They completely bombed that. Let's look at Texas. Trump did 3 points better. He won Texas by about 5.6. They had Texas being for Trump by 2 points. They had Texas as close as like Ohio, and actually Ohio voted more for Trump, so that's probably not the best comparison. But Florida and Texas pretty much being the same. North Carolina and Texas being pretty similar. Georgia and Texas. Like, Texas did swing to the left, but not by that much. I mean, Texas, 3.1 for Trump. It's pretty obvious that they really overestimated Biden's suburban appeal. Let's look at Arizona. This is the last swing state we're going to look at. The state of Arizona, Biden won it by 0.3. Trump did 2.3 points better. They had Biden winning Arizona by 2.6 points. That's that 5-point swing. Really? I don't see it. I think the margin Biden won Arizona is pretty accurate, honestly. All right, so let's take a step back. We looked at this one. We looked at pretty much all the swing states, and I mean they were accurate in 2 states, which I mean, yeah, okay, we'll give them that. But I mean, look at all this red. These are all the places Trump overperformed. The Northeast, he did about 7 points better in Rhode Island, 5 points better in Delaware, 6 points better in Utah, about 0.7 in California, 2.3 in Alaska. I mean, it's pretty obvious the polls favor the Democrats, and there's 2 reasons, and Trump outperformed the polls. And there's 2 reasons I can think of that would happen. The first reason is that the pollsters, like most things nowadays, are pretty much biased towards the Democrats. They favor the Democrats. I mean, if you're living in Wisconsin and you see Trump down by 7 points, and you're on the edge about voting, like you think, like I don't know, maybe you have work or something, and you're not sure you should vote, and you see Trump down by 7 points, are you going to vote? No. You're going to be like, it's a lost cause, whatever. You're going to stay home. I mean, I think this was an effort to deter Republican turnout, and thankfully it didn't work, because if it did work, I mean, Trump would have lost by an even bigger margin than he did. And I think that this is pretty obvious looking at it. I'm not sure how else I can prove to people on the left or just people in general who say the polls aren't biased, that the polls are biased. And I think the second reason I was talking about is maybe the polls are not biased, and maybe there is a whole silent majority who came out for Trump, and that I could believe that. If you can prove that to me, I would believe that, and I would be like, okay, the polls were not biased. There was just a silent majority. But right now, I am just seeing the polls completely getting the 2020 election wrong. I mean, all these states, 11, 10 points, 8 points. Trump is outperforming by like 8, 7, 8 points in all these states. Like, that should not happen if you have actual objective, honest polling. So when you look at the polls, do not trust them. Turn out and vote anyways. And honestly, in 2024, if their polls are not accurate, I'm probably going to do my own thing where I'm going to kind of take the polls and then maybe see the average that they outperformed in each state and maybe take that percentage off, because I do not trust the polls at all. Like, honestly, I would not trust them. I think anything can happen, and I think that this was a deterrent to get conservatives to stay home. So I hope you agree with me. Hope you learned something. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.